There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Here with Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Now, not without its challenges this morning. The internet seems to be working very slowly here in San Martino de Puerto, but I did ask for a leisurely start to the day. I wasn't expecting the whole of the internet to take that seriously. I'm pressing buttons and things aren't happening for, it feels like minutes. It will only be milliseconds, of course. But bear with this morning. We'll take it nice and easy. We'll hang it. We're not going to get our knickers in a twist or our panties in a bunch about these sorts of things, are we? Apologies if you were waiting with bated breath at 8:31. A little bit late this morning. Yeah, because of the aforesaid reason. Slow internet. I'm not sure what's going on. But we're not going to let it bother us. How are you this morning? Tudo bem? Como estás? Do let me know. Let's have a nice chat and hang out this morning. You see, I'm pressing the comments button and it's like 1, 2, 3 elephant, 4 elephant. Anyway, a very, very good dad joke. Yes, João de Norte has spotted that. And he's also found the best seafood restaurant by the sound of it in the northern part of Portugal. We finally found the best seafood place, restaurant Segredos do Mar near Viana do Castelo. I think John will be talking about there. Big thanks to Gumpers, Sarah and Dan. Yes, lovely Sarah and Dan up there in Viana do Castelo. And you would hope, wouldn't you, that you could find some decent seafood on the coast there, up at near Ponte Lima, north of Ponte Lima of Viana do Castelo. So well done finding that restaurant, and well done to Hank, who's representing you. Hank Stalica was up against Lisbon's Trevor Jones last night in the semi-final of the battle for the best part of Portugal to live in. Jerry Lawler, of course, of Expats Portugal, is the current champion and was waiting to see who he would face in the final in July. Turns out it's Hank, and Hank can have that restaurant in his armory, his arsenal of fantastic places now. And funny enough, Lisbon's Trevor Jones was talking about how he'd found the best steak restaurant in Lisbon only yesterday. So lots of good restaurant finds in the expat community yesterday. So unlucky Trevor. Well done, Hank. Facing Jerry in July. I was going to click on the calendar. Shall I try that? Yes, I'm going to. And at 30, nope, shouldn't have done that. The screen's gone dark. Dark screen moment. Be very careful. Please don't make any hasty movements, anybody. Okay, let's see who was in early this morning. Coach Turner, oh yes, my goodness. You'll be proud of me, Coach Turner. I went on a 10K cycle ride yesterday. I guessed it was about 10K. Reason being, I was taking the car in for its annual inspection. Over to João, because some of you may remember yesterday, some of you will never forget the moment I decided to pay my road tax online yesterday, describing it. I think it's being put forward for a Sony award for one of the most boring moments in radio history. So thank you for being there and being part of it. Messages coming through again. I say that. Oh my goodness, I see what you mean, John, about that being an amazing seafood restaurant. We've got to try and save that picture and bring it onto the screen, which won't be very nice for people who don't like seafood. It will be a dream for people who do. And Siobhan will be joining us soon as well. Let's see how that goes. So I'm sending that. Hey, I need the link, says Siobhan. Yes, of course you do, Siobhan. That's coming to you now. Superb. We'll see you in a few minutes as well for our leisurely Feel Good Friday hangout. Bon dia todos. Yes, you'd be proud of me, Coach Turner. I cycled 10 kilometers on my bicycle, which I put into the back of the car. Yes, boring radio moments. Paid my car tax yesterday, taking it in for its test, put the bicycle in the back of the vehicle, and cycled back from the mechanics. I was going to cycle into a Caldas thinking that might be a bit easier, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to cycle home through the countryside, through the Silver Coast countryside. Now, a lot of people don't realise that in this. Yes, I really did try and just load some photographs on the same tab I was using. So it's not just the internet. It's not just the technology. There is some severe user error going on. That's a lethal combination this morning, isn't it? So, hello again. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Took the car into the mechanic, got the bike out of the car, cycled home through the beautiful Silver Coast countryside. Coast, you see, people think of it. San Martino de Porto, Foz del Helio, Peniche, up to Nazaré. But of course, in the interior of the Silver Coast, it's a really, really nice, peaceful place to live and be as well. And I cycled through it yesterday, stopping at how many cafes? I think I stopped at 2 cafes. Had the biggest, talking of seafood, John, had the biggest shrimp inside a Risol de Camarão I've ever had since being here in Portugal. And I had a really good moment yesterday. There I was cycling through the countryside. I posted up a picture. Katia Lima, Beyond Lisbon blogger Katia Lima said, "Look at you in that shirt with your bicycle helmet, cycling through the countryside, eating a risol, drinking a cafe, and pedras on the side. You're turning into a Portuguese dad." I'll take that. Thank you very much indeed. So, Coach Turner, just before we say hello to Siobhan from the Quinta down the road at Celha de Porto, which of course I would have cycled past yesterday as well in the distance. Bom dia todos e feliz sexta-feira. Quiet day today, preparing to have the family over on Sunday. 16 of us, so it should be fun. God scored tip of the day from you. I'm still eating that big tin of cling, what's it called? Not cling film, cling syrup. I'm still eating that massive tin can of fruit. Probably not the best cuts of fruit that go into the tins, but we're still enjoying that here with yogurt and on cornflakes. I discovered a lovely use for those tinned fruits. If you have cornflakes with some of them on and some plant milk, very nice combination. A little bit like the evaporated milk days and tinned fruit. Anyway, it seems food can be controversial, quite controversial. Let's see what happens this morning. The problem as I see it is that there has been a great deal of disinformation spread over many decades by corporate interests. No way! You're kidding me! The sugar industry, for example, has been and again, I'm pressing buttons here. Nothing is happening behind the scenes, but the sugar industry has been particularly active, often funding research. What? Follow the science. Often funding research that miraculously finds that fats are a problem rather than the sweet stuff. It's not us. It's them over there. Anyone else but us. The truth, of course, is much more complex, isn't it? Just, you see, on the one hand, truth is really simple, isn't it? But then in the world of human affairs, it becomes complex because we don't want to look at it. You can't handle the truth. Every one of us is different, and foods affect us in different ways. For me, I've found missing breakfast most days helps me maintain my weight, but still allows the occasional blowout. Excellent there. So a little bit of a blast for fasting, a fasting blasting there for the coach. Thank you very much for that, Coach T. And your final comment, which is being very stubborn and doesn't want to come onto the screen. I can't. Oh, yeah, that seems like a good balance, says the coach. Oh, I do wish this would work a little better this morning. It's quite frustrating. Let me know what works for you. Absolutely. And T-Duck does agree with skipping meals and intermittent fasting. No, intermittent fasting. It really helps with my energy levels and sense of well-being. No doubt, a bit of intermittent fasting as well. No shame in that. It happens. It's a bodily function. Just don't do it near me. Everyone is different. What works for me may not work for you. My biggest issue is avoiding processed foods. Not bad advice, is it, for everyone? The old processed foods, they're more like drugs than food. I mean, yes, Bom dia, alegria, campus. Then from T-Duck with a Feliz Sexta-feira, putting the sex in Sexta-feira. Me and Bobby will be chatting about the Portuguese news from the English language papers, Portugal resident. I think we've got one news item from a Portuguese paper that talks about the impact of getting rid of the golden visa. We'll be talking to Bobby about those. And Savvy Cat Ana joining us at 9:30 as well. So chatting with Savvy Cat Ana too. Let me bring that ticker tape up so you can be reminded of that throughout the show. And the number to call if you want to. We can hang out and have a bit of a phone in as well. Maybe Lord Gilchrist will have his moment today and call in on 913-590-303. Good fun talking to Fabrizio and Ian yesterday, and Ali Sheldrake. Don't forget to get your copy of Snapshot magazine. It's out now, the June edition. And let's go to a deep thought, shall we? In time of sickness, the soul collects itself anew. You see, when I talk about my shamanic episodes, people laugh, don't they, and mock me as a terrible new ager. But even 2,000 years ago or so, Pliny the Elder was saying this. In time of sickness, the soul collects itself anew. And we can, of course, be moaning and groaning in bed, not for good reasons. And whilst that's taking place, while we're feeling sorry for ourselves, perhaps at different levels of our consciousness, something marvelous is happening. You know, we grow. What isn't killing us and is making us stronger absolutely manifests as the soul collecting itself anew and perhaps going on to the next level of the game in soul evolution, maybe. Okay, thank you very much, Pliny the Elder and T-Duck this morning. Pliny the Elder's son, Pliny the Younger, yes, always wanted it known that his father was a good Roman. Portuguese saying then of the day. I thought there would be more there. I thought there was going to be some proof of how Pliny the Younger maintained his father's reputation as Pliny the Elder and being a good Roman. Perhaps he published these pithy comments and aphorisms proving that his father was indeed a good Roman. What is it to be a good Roman? Portuguese saying of the day then, a curiosidade matou o gato. You know this one. You know this one. Curiosity killed the cat. Lucky they have 9 lives, right? So the King Sabia today. And I think I might put the image up straight away for this. And we've been looking at Portuguese inventions that have been spawned by the age of discovery, and very enjoyable it has been too. I'm particularly enjoying looking into Portuguese history. And here's some more of it. Oh, and I'll put up the picture of a massive plate of seafood at the same time as well this morning from John. Thank you very much a lot. Did you have some nice crispy white vinho verde with that, I wonder? Anyway, Bartholomew Lorenzo de Guzmão, born of December 1685 and perished in November 1724, was a Portuguese born in Brazil. He was a priest, naturalist, and pioneer of light and air airship design. Look at this. That's fantastic. That thing that's on the screen there at the moment. I'm not sure what he's calling it. Laurent de Guzmán is Chapelain de Roi de Portugal, but French there. Where's the rest of this King Sabia? Oh, here it is. In 1709, he presented a petition to King João V of Portugal, seeking royal favour for his invention of an airship. So that was the old version of the Dragon's Den. You had to go to the king, didn't you, and say, I present to you, no PowerPoints in those days, just had to be there in the royal court with ideas. If it didn't go well, you might even have your head cut off for wasting the king's time. Anyway, he sought the king's favour, and the king expressed the greatest confidence, it would appear. The contents of this petition have been preserved together with a picture and description of his airship, Exhibit A, which is notated with the letters of the alphabet A through to H, it would appear. Very good. And the vessel was to be propelled by magnets encased in 2 hollow metal balls. The public test of the machine, which was set for the 24th of June, 1709, never took place. Oh, no, maybe it was a big scam. I don't know. Has anyone tried to recreate that? Do you know what? I'm going to bring Siobhan on now because I think this is a project for the Kinter kids to try out. Let's give her a nice big round of applause. Siobhan, good morning to you. Maybe let me take this off the screen so we can actually see Siobhan. I think she might have frozen up. Are you having a little bit of trouble with the internet down the road in Salida de Porto this morning as well? It would appear you are, Siobhan. Oh, anyway, okay. So the vessel was to be propelled. Oh, here we go. Well, she's trying on a different connection now. A ship of some kind of vessel propelled by magnets encased into. How does that work? I wonder. Is it like a sort of perpetual motion machine? As you can hear, Siobhan's struggling to get on. Maybe we've got an internet connection problem coming into the San Martino de Porto Bay this morning. While we're waiting, let's do a quick visual dad joke. Shall we? I will. Oh, that's good. The way that's covering the punchline visually for you there. This rock, says Captain Kirk, started out as a shy pebble, but now it's a little boulder. And there it is. Oh, I wasn't covering the punchline. It was there all the time. Pesky kids. But now it's a little boulder. Get it? Very good. Okay. And very good dad jokes this morning. I can only see two. On there, but we'll come back to those a little bit later. And I think Siobhan is with us now. Let's bring her onto the screen. Let's try another big round of applause. Here she is. Let's get that. Yes, there you are. How are you this morning, Siobhan?
Morning. How are you, Carl?
I'm pretty good. Is there a massive delay going on between us?
No, I think it's okay. It's just can you hear me?
Okay, not too. I can.
Yeah, there seems to be a little. Okay, cool.
The dogs barking in the valley.
Sorry. Everyone, the dogs are wide awake this morning, making sure the whole of the village wakes up. How are you doing, Carl? What's exciting? Good morning, Portugal.
Well, you'll be popular with your name. Well, it's well, I've got a little project for you. You know of course, the King de Porto. The kids do amazing things there. It's not just for kids, though. We've been told about this before. It's for the whole community. But there are kids' activities there, and we've been finding out today about this invention that didn't actually make it off the ground, but it's propelled by magnets. And this fellow behind this invention presented it to the king, who was quite in favor of the idea, but it literally didn't make it off the ground. How about building one of those and trying it on the beach at Salida de Porto? How about that?
That's a fabulous idea, Carl. Yeah. I'll put you as the
details after.
And I will.
So what's going on at the King? So you've been nominated for a prize, haven't you?
Yeah, we were nominated for environmental prize from Abu Dhabi. So that's pretty big news for us, except we probably don't have a chance of winning because we're still a very young project. But I guess just the fact of being nominated is pretty exciting. So
it is.
That goes along with a lot of media journalism exposure, which will be our first real time, because we've kind of avoided a lot of that, as you know, until we were set up enough and running strong enough. So that's an exciting thing for us. So today we have a journalist coming, you in the morning. It's been a very busy morning, Carl, and I haven't even fed the animals yet.
And they're telling you so, I think. So what have you been nominated for? What's the prize in Abu Dhabi?
Oh, the prize is 600,000 euros that can be shared into three different projects, which would, in the perfect world, would enable us to have more equipment to help us clean the beaches more, all kinds of things. So, but there, as I said, it probably won't be us this year, but it's an honor anyway to be obviously nominated by somebody that met us, that came up here one day. So that's really exciting. So, and it's the first time that a project from Portugal gets nominated. So I think that's what's important, is that it just shows that there are a lot of things going on here in Portugal, a lot of associations that are doing incredible things, people that are doing incredible things on their own as well. So I think that's the message for me that needs to be taken in, is just, if you guys look around, there's a lot of people really working really hard on the ground just to make the world a better place for everybody.
Yeah, well said. And what is the organization then that nominated you? It's an environmental organization of some kind, presumably.
No, I won't tell all the secrets. You'll see it probably in the newspaper very soon. But it's a special fund from Abu Dhabi. So I will.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I
Oh, so
actually, I'll
you're
be
under
honest with you.
okay.
I don't
You're
want to
under a
pronounce it
press
wrong.
embargo of some sort.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to
That's the
pronounce it
real
wrong. So, but I'm sure you guys will find out soon. But
so that's the
yeah, no,
real
it's always nice. It's always nice. It's as I said, it just kind of gives us a little bit of confidence in what we're doing and a little bit of a boost after 3 years of crazy work on the ground. It just kind of makes us realize that what we're doing is worth it, and that people are recognizing that. Not that that's the most important thing, but listen, we had a beach clean a few weeks ago. As you know, we organize beach cleans, and we did one the other week with breakfast, and we had the most. We've never had that many people show up, so we were really, really, really happy about that. We filled the truck with plastic. We're still going back to that beach. So that was really good. And our youngest cleaner was only 4 years old. He was exceptional. And then there was a whole bunch of
wow.
people from all over, from here, from the village, from a lot of people that have just arrived in Portugal. So it was a great morning. We had a lot of fun. What else is going on? We had a big movie night the other night here at the Quinta for the teenagers. So we had a lot of kids, and it was like a outdoor movie night in the big event tent. So now we're just busy planning, obviously, summer camp that is filling up very, very fast. And we're planning on doing a murder mystery dinner very soon. That's our next event. So hopefully you'll come, Carl. We should have a lot of fun.
Yes, murder
Yeah,
mystery. If in the countryside, that see normally they're in a manor house, aren't they, or some big building?
yeah,
But so
yeah.
yours will
This
be
is
in
at
the
the farm.
will it, and on the beach. Wow, that's a nice take on that idea. Amazing.
So,
Okay, very
so that's what we're up to. And otherwise, yeah. What can I say, Carl? Summer's
well. Good for
coming.
you.
We can feel it.
Well, some I think you're right. And what's when we've got the festival coming up in San Martino de Porto, 10 days of partying. So I'm sure a lot of people will come across from the dunes as well. I walked up the other day to the chapel at the end of your track. It is so beautiful up there. I showed people the pictures. I mean, isn't it amazing up there how you can disappear into what feels like a wilderness and then chance upon this beautiful capella up there?
It is, and that's the best part of I think this area is that rugged coast there with the chapel, the dinosaur footprints. We have a lot of little secret beaches back there as well. I guess if I say they won't be secret.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spend a lot of time out that back, and I think tomorrow I have a group coming. So I'll take them for a big hike to the dinosaur footprints and to the chapel. It's a very special spot. Carl, do you remember a few years ago when the big whale washed up on the beach?
I do not remember. Tell me about it. What happened?
Well, there was a big whale. We had a storm. I guess it was 3 years, 2 years ago. There was a big whale that washed up. It was about 15 meters long after a stormy evening. Yeah, and it was actually on that beach. So when you walk to the chapel, the beach that you can see, it is called São Romeo. It's a small beach on the left
Yeah,
that you see when you're up at the chapel. That's where
I
the whale
saw it.
washed up. Yeah. And that's also the beach that at the moment we're cleaning. We still have probably we've cleaned about a third of the garbage that's there.
Amazing.
So we'll be going back.
Amazing.
And that was a
Okay. I
huge
mean,
a
it's
huge rescue
Caribbean.
project. What's that? Sorry.
Wow. Okay. Well, we have a little bit of a challenge
Yeah.
here. We seem to both disappear off the screen from where I am. But Siobhan, good luck with
Thanks.
the prize that
Thanks.
I think you'll find out about. I was just saying good luck with your Bosorts, with your
Thanks. Thank you.
with the possible prize win.
Thanks.
And congratulations on all this media attention. I know you're not doing it for the attention, but it all helps, doesn't it, to get the word out there?
Yeah, it does for sure. For sure. I always hesitate, but that's okay. It's all good. And a lot of people say like they need to find out what's going on. They want to participate. They want to be part of a community. They want to meet people and feel like they can do something. So that's hopefully a way of letting people know that we exist and others like us exist out there. So
absolutely right. And that's possibly the note upon which I will say farewell and bon fin de semana is that if people are feeling like they're not very connected to what's going on or aren't feeling very powerful in the world, getting involved in a project like yours can help people feel like they're really doing something useful, like do it at the beach cleaning, working along with the community, with other people, working with generations, the kids, working with elders as well. You've got everyone represented up there at Quinta de Salir de Porto. So a great project and a really good way of people feeling like they're doing something useful, and perhaps part of a more positive energy in the world at the moment, with so many other challenging things going on.
Definitely, Carl. I think that's a big thing. Is trying to say. I have to say that I don't look at the news every day anymore. I kind of focus on this, and I think that's the big thing, is just bringing a bit of showing that there are a lot of positive actions going on out there as well, and not forgetting at the end of every day to think of 3 positive things that happened in your day, Carl. I think that's essential for everybody. And we have a good laugh, and it's down to earth. And if people that are just arrived here, I know a lot of people feel very lost, because it's not necessarily easy when you arrive into a new country and things are very different. But as we're pretty much an international base here. So whether it be you just need a phone call, a help, Portuguese lessons, whatever, if it's with us or we can recommend somebody else, I think it's a good start for everybody.
Well, good on you. What a lovely invitation. Quinta de Salir.com is where to find Siobhan and all the gang there. Have a great weekend. Bon fin de semana.
Thanks, Carl.
And good luck.
See you soon, Carl.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, man.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love chatting with Siobhan. She is sat in the countryside there. That's what I was talking about. Silver Coast, of course. The clue is in coast. And there is a lot of focus on the Atlantic coast here, on the Silver Coast, of course, but the countryside of this area is fabulous too. And you heard it right there. It's brought my dog. Jimmy, I think, could hear the dogs barking in the distance there, and he's come in to find out what the fuss is about as well. Okay, good morning to you. We're putting the sex into Sexta-feira this morning. Bobby O'Reilly will be joining us soon. Talk to him about our search for the perfect pint of Guinness as well around Portugal. And did I say that we have announced our first location for our discovery weekends as well? Now, I thought I'd loaded up the video for that. I'm in a right old mess back here, but nothing new there perhaps. But I'll see what I can do to bring. Well, we've got a long time to go, because our first discovery weekend venue will be Braga in May of 2024. That's because of our wonderful friend Sir Lion H up there. He runs food and wine tours. I was chatting with him and thought, okay, well, let's just do it. Let's just book that in for May 2024. So a date for your diary. It's the second weekend of every month that we'll be traveling around Portugal and gathering. Some of us on the Friday night, certainly the Saturday, a gathering for brunch or lunch on Saturday, a tour around the location Saturday afternoon, and then a party on the Saturday evening. Sunday, a somewhat quiet and leisurely and probably calm and quiet breakfast, and then moving into brunchy, lunchy kind of business, eating the local food, tasting some of the local wine, maybe hair of the dog, I don't know. And then another tour on the Sunday, and then away, and hopefully creating great memories. And Jimmy, please do not do that, you little rascal. Go in your box. Go on. Out you go. Go on, Jim, in your box. Let's see how the dog training's going. Vitor Costa, help me with this. Go on, out you go, in your box. Good boy. There he goes. He's gone into his box. Good lad. Top training. Yeah, and hopefully we're creating incredible memories, helping people find their dream location in Portugal. These will be good weekends for scouting as well, meeting other foreigners, immigrants, expats, whatever you want to call them, coming into the country and meeting those who are already here. There may be people who are proudly representing their part of the country. There may be people who've never been there and have been waiting for the opportunity to visit. So that's what we'll be doing every second weekend from September. The first one is booked for Braga on May the 24th. Why Braga? Some people are saying, why didn't you choose us? Why haven't we confirmed ours yet? Only because I haven't got quorum, as it were, with the people on the ground in the localities. If you want to put your town, location, city forward, and of course, here's one. Portimao, we will be going to Portimao. We'll be going to the Algarve, I think, a couple of times, east and west. So Portimao one will be fun. That may well be September or October. The April one, April of 24, will be the 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution. We'll pick wisely where we are in April of 2024 as well. So let us know where you'd like us to rock up. It's basically the Good Morning Portugal Roadshow, and we'll probably do a little bit of live broadcasting from those venues as well. Looks like Garvo's here. Garvo popping in just to confirm I'm still alive. Good on you, Garvo. Well done. And feeling good on a Friday. Well done, mate. Garvo's popped in, and who doesn't like to pop in first thing in the morning? Yes. Nice to see you, Garvo, and see you Monday, of course. Your brother, Terence Austin, is leading the way on the wine tasting on Monday evening, the 5th of June. And that'll be 2 bottles of white. Very interesting, a Douro and a Stubal, which will go very nicely with the plate of seafood that John has very kindly sent in as well. Where's those 2 bottles of wine? God, oh, here they are. This is what we're tasting on Monday at 8 o'clock. Only a few days to go now. These aren't, I don't think they're difficult wines to find. On the left, a Kopke Douro, a Branco, both Brancos, of course, Deutsch Brancos, Kopke Branco 2019, Douro. The year may be different when you buy it, of course, but that's the brand we're looking for. Douro White, and an Alto Pina Stubal White as well from Fernão Pires, Verdelho, and Tovage. There, a Reserva. Get the closest thing you can find. Don't get yourself too worked up about getting the exact year, Reserva, non-Reserva. Important thing is to bring something close to it to evoke the area. I suppose would be one way of putting it. Get a Stubal White, get a Douro White, and come along and have some fun. Terence, always great fun to hang out with. He's leading the way on Monday evening at 8 o'clock for the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. And we're probably getting towards 60 wines that we've tried now, what with these 2. It's amazing, isn't it, Garvo, that we've done that. And here's a picture of my tinned fruit that I'm still working my way through. Happy memories, I think, for people and their childhoods. Tinned fruit, a nutritional suggestion earlier on this week. It is, of course, a processed food, but better. You see, it's all relative, isn't it? Better some fruit than none, and that's a convenient way of getting some fruit in your gob. Okay, I would like to wish a very happy birthday to this gentleman this morning. This is Christopher Take a Bow Bowden, who I've worked with in the past. So a very happy birthday to you, Chris. A radio legend. This man knows so much about radio. We've worked together in radio at a fantastic project called Access All Aerials when I was back in the UK. And we had some great fun times together. It was a real pleasure to meet you, Chris. I remember the first time I met you was, I think, at some sort of musical radio event at the Exeter Phoenix Community Centre, and met you there. We had a giggle from the get-go. And then we worked together, I think, for a few years thereafter. And you did all sorts of amazing work for Access All Aerials. You're an incredible fella. You're a legend, mate, in and around the Exeter area. And it's your 40th birthday, I hear, today. So happy birthday to you. Have a superb day, Christopher. Take a Bow Bowden, radio legend, and somebody who's been in most of the radio studios around the Devon area. Incredible guy, incredible radio enthusiast. Have a great day today, Chris, and lots of love to all your family. Waiting for Bobby O'Reilly to join us. He might be busy on the phone doing deals, of course. João Mendonça telling us that it's National Fish and Chip Day. Okay, I'm gonna run this up alongside that big plate of seafood. Not that Bobby O'Reilly has sent us. He's allergic to seafood. Don't put the seafood near Bobby O'Reilly. But let's have a look at this. What's all this fuss that's going on? Probably in the UK. National Fish and Chip Day, or is it global? Is it a global fish and chip phenomena today? Now, as I understand it, talking of Portuguese inventions, as we have been all week, that I believe Portugal has some claim when it comes to the creation of fish and chips. Let's see. What's this, Joao? Thank you very much. Good of you to be here this morning. National Fish and Chip Day. And there's a kind of selfie thing going around where you can be pictured with some fake. Are they fake fish and chips? Or those people? Is that part of the frame there of those people? I hope they've got fish and chips. Wouldn't that be awful to be celebrating National Fish and Chip Day in the UK without actually having to eat any? But and they're very, very wisely done it on a Friday, the traditional day, of course, of eating fish for many people, and the day a lot of people pop down the chippy on a Friday evening on the way home from work or whatever. We're celebrating the nation's favorite dish, which will be fish, and you can catch up with that. Submit your own old photographs of eating fish and chips out of newspaper. Talking about nutrition, Coach Turner, do you remember when people used to have newsprint with their fish and chips? Because that's how they wrapped them up in newspaper. Wow. Okay, and that big plate of seafood then, I'll come back to your comments in just a moment, but that big plate of seafood, best seafood restaurant in Viana do Castelo, apparently. Well, yes, I can see why you would be saying that. Look at that lobster there and those mussels. Oh, be still, my beating stomach. That does look amazing. And I want to know which wine you had with that. I'm thinking crispy white. Those two I just showed you would be excellent accompaniments to that massive plate of seafood there. Awesome. Okay. And let me just make sure we have got the link with our guest this morning. And I'm just popping that through to both Bobby and Savvy Cat Ana will be joining us at 9:30 as well with her unique take on. Well, I've been thinking when I was writing the notes, as you see scrolling past you, you know, her unique take on her revolutionary approach to real estate in Portugal and culture. I think she's a really good funnel for us foreigners. She's very able. She's immersed, obviously, and grew up in Portugal. She's immersed in Portuguese culture, but she has a really good gift of seeing it through the eyes of immigrants as well. So, looking forward to talking to her at 9:30. The Kopke makes a nice vino tinto as well, and I think they do port, don't they, as well? Kopke make quite the range then up there in the Douro, which I think is the temptation of many Douro wine producers, you know, is to keep trade on the brand, keep trade on the Douro DOC up there. Am I right, T-Duck? Have I only got 2 dad jokes there? The one about Lisbon, which is excellent, and we'll come back to that, and trees and the internet, and then I'm looking for a third. Bom dia, Gumpers, as well from James earlier this morning. Feliz sexta a todos, como va? And a good morning all from the Ancient Mariner, who's continuing to send me fabulous pictures of France. When are you back in Portugal? Ancient Mariner. We nearly did that last weekend, didn't we? And it didn't happen, but looking forward to seeing you and shaking your hand in real life. I highly recommend the Combinación de Marisco. That's what you saw on your screen just then. It's official. That is the combination, the C combination, the seafood, not a cocktail or a salad, but what do they call it? It's a combination, undersells it really. That is a cornucopia as far as I'm concerned, an absolute abundance and blessing of sea creatures on one plate right there. Nice one, Joel. Thank you very much for that. Send those pictures in on 913-590-303. Fingers crossed then for Baddy. Bon dia, hoping today is the day of the never-ending story. Perhaps that escritura will be signed today, the elusive escritura. Hoping today is the day then of the never-ending story of the elusive escritura. Come on, comments. Gets booked and completed today. Hopeful. Bon fin semana, folks. And yeah, fingers crossed, says Suze. The plate that you saw before had 4 lobster halves on it. Yeah, you did lose me earlier on. That was my error, as well as battling against some rather slow internet and technology this morning. I did press the wrong button too. Bon dia todos. I'm a little bit tired after that 10K cycle yesterday. I was surprised by how good a shape I was in, but obviously can get in some better shape and a little bit fitter. But it was beautiful, and I downloaded the photo I was trying to find for you. Was Bairandi sends us his wonderful videos of him cycling through the Bairrada countryside on a Monday morning. And Andy, I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring all these events onto the screen because of the flipping delay that I'm experiencing here. I'll do my best. But I was wanting to download one of those fantastic bits of software that you use that tracks your journey. So I went online and I thought I was on the right track when I found cycle tracking app. Free, of course. A lot of people, probably the most common word when people are downloading apps is free. It's free, right? Hold on a minute. Oh, come on, do your thing, computer. You're not helping here. I'm trying to press the download button to show you something here. Nearly there, everybody. Nearly as boring as me downloading my bills online. We are there now. Done. Maybe I should just change this or lower the speed limit or the speed of operation of the show this morning, and not expect anything to work in any way quickly this morning, and just go with that flow. I'm sure that's what Benjamin Stubbs cycle tracking. I'm thinking, okay, yep, that looks fairly hopeful there. Cycle tracking app free. Let me show you what I ended up with on my camera yesterday. Come on, nearly there. Spinning, cycling, nearly on the right track there. Here we go. Yeah, so this is what I found on the internet and nearly began to download it. I ended up with, of course, a menstrual cycle tracking free app. Probably don't need that, to be fair. But I did notice there were some rather good ones. Ovulation tracker, flow, menstrual, and period tracker. But no, that's not what I was looking for. I found a really good one with a really hard to pronounce name. But very good it was too. And I programmed it in. And I'm not going to dare download this. It gives you incredible stats by the time you've got home. And I can tell you my top speed was nearly 32 kilometers per hour. I burnt nearly 234 calories on my journey. Although I did press the wrong button. That's only part of my journey. So easily 250 calories. The distance was 10 kilometers. My average speed was 11 kilometers per hour. But I did keep stopping and taking photographs and making videos. My elevation loss was 35 meters and my elevation gain. So a net gain. Cycling, I think that means, of 50 meters, and my average pace was 5.5 minutes per kilometer. So not kilometers per minute, but my average pace. Yeah, I don't think that's very impressive, basically, but that's because I kept stopping and kept taking videos and thinking, I know, I'll take some more footage so I can make a really cool video. And I didn't think that if I was trying to show things on the show this morning, it was going to take 5 minutes. Every time I tried to upload something. Portuguese is in this morning, flashing the Portuguese. Bom dia a todos. Mais dia bonito e solarengo no capital. Estou ansioso por ver a man cave esta noite. So I can see from that it's the man cave this evening. If you like that sort of thing, join the man cavers tonight in the man cave from, I think, is it 9 or 10? You're all getting older, aren't you? So you're bringing it forward so you don't all fall asleep on camera like some of you, I know you do. Bon dia, Carl. And James saying, bon dia, Carl from Joao there, Joao Mendonça. And James saying, so that flying machine idea never took flight. No, it never got off the ground. And yes, severe technical issues, absolutely right. Nice little anecdote here from Central Portugal. Susie's enjoying life in Central Portugal near Ceia. Went to our local cafe last evening, no Wi-Fi, so no Google Translate. Wanted a bottle of wine, Vinho Verde. She put a bottle on the counter. I said, custo? She said, 30. I said no. What? I said no. I put a 10 euro note down. She pushed it back. I emptied my tiny change purse. She took 170. Obrigada, boa noite. It was a lovely light red wine. Wow. So that's the sort of adventure you can have. You go in, you want Vinho Verde. You're expecting to pay around $10, possibly 10 euros. But no, you leave. You don't quite get Vinho Verde, but you do get a Vinho Tinto at 170. How was it? How was the local cafe wine? Do let me know. Antonio is in. Antonio F. You may be pleased to know, Antonio F., that video you sent to me of the man doing the calçadas, and I will put part 2 up on YouTube as well. But the first one, over 2,000 views of that, of a man tapping away outside your place, finishing off the calçadas there. So good work, showing the rest of the world how we roll here in Portugal, creating pavements. And let's go to Garvo's in. Morning to you, Garvo. Duck, absolutely. Oh, yes, popping in first thing in the morning. And Garvo says as well, giving us warning, I'm not going to be at the meetup this coming Wednesday, sadly. However, I'll see you on the Tuesday because that's when you say you'll be here as well. Good on you, Garvo. Look forward to seeing you. My buttons are really slow this morning, not a euphemism. So, yeah, you'll be in San Martino de Porto this coming Tuesday and Wednesday. Possibly see you on the Tuesday. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Big difference, says Garvo, about those wines between the Stetwal, Stubel, and the Douro wine. So, should be a very interesting evening. Antonio F. with a weather forecast. Hey, we haven't done that for a very long time, have we? We haven't looked at our Good Morning Portugal weather for ages. So much so that I've cleaned my computer and the cheeky tab that I would hope that, the how it fills in for you in the URL, that's gone. So I don't think I will be able to show you the weather even if I wanted to, but we don't need to because Antonio F telling us be aware of the rain this weekend. Probably weather warnings then across the country. I'm going up to Porto where it's sure to rain, right? We're watching. A few of us are gathering. All are welcome. I did ask Hank. Hank can't join us, unfortunately, but a few fellas are making their way to Porto to watch the Manchesters play each other in the British FA Cup final, and we'll be in a sports bar in Porto somewhere. I don't know if John or Owen are watching and can give us the details of the venue, but I'll be getting on a coach. I'll be going from San Martino to Porto itself on the coach and watching the match with the lads in Porto. All are welcome. No worries for Garvo about rain. He's British and waterproof. Nothing like having one up the Douro. I'll take your word for that. And there is a third dad joke. The search for the in my efforts to send Bobby O'Reilly the link this morning to join us, I sent him the link to Salida de Porto. So hopefully he's not just driving there now and will turn up at Siobhan's doorstep and saying to her, is this where the show is this morning? Está todo bem. Some chat going on between Victoria and Antonio F in the chat this morning. 913-590-303. If you want, I don't know, dare we have a phone in this morning? We should give Lord Gilchrist a chance to call in, shouldn't we? Which we will do. Let's say at 10 o'clock this morning, because we need to speak to Savvy Cat Ana before then. Seafood platter cataplana. Interesting. Is a cataplana cooked though, or not cooked? Lord, I know seafood generally is cooked. Actually, you've got to boil the crabs and the lobsters, haven't you, and the other seafood items. But isn't cataplana a bit saucy as well? Okay, is YouTube censoring my third joke? It might be, mightn't it? I just saw two. What about the third? You've been censored. It's the first time I think our dad joke has been censored by YouTube. That's amazing. Right, I don't know if you're just sending me this for the fun of it, T-Duck, or if this is the dad jokes, but I'm going to say it now. Is butt cheeks one word, or should I spread them apart? There you go. I think you probably were not sponsored by YouTube, quite the opposite, censored by YouTube. Only me. What's this? Only me and the woman in the bar. When she said 30, I thought, no way, 30 euros. I see. It was lovely. And no cork. Surely not a screw top. No, the first spotting for me, I think, of a screw top in Portugal. This is Portugal. You've got to have cork in the top of a bottle of wine here. I thought it was against the law to have a screw top or plastic inside a bottle. I'm going to bring that onto the screen. Your lovely bottle of wine that you had last night for €1.70. Suze pushing the boat out last night. Where has that ended up in my downloads? Oh, here we go. I found it now. Nice little label there. 170. This is what you can enjoy in central Portugal. And you enjoyed it, I think. It was lovely. Yeah, surprised no cork. So what is this that we're seeing in front of us? And was it a screw cap? A shocker. Oh, it was a little a push-in. Yes, I think sometimes. And I've seen the return of some of those, the pseudo wickerwork flagons that look like they are a sort of raffia design, but it's actually made of plastic. Those have returned to my Intermarché. So I think we're talking about that part of the market, which doesn't have a cork. It just has a plastic cap popped in there, probably to keep the cost down. But you've got a Valia something or other there. Nice little red. Looks fantastic. Thank you, Suze, for sharing that with us this morning. €1.70, not 30, as you might have been expecting. Because you see, if you go into a restaurant, cafe in England, for example, and you ask for a bottle of wine to take away, you are expecting to pay a lot of money. I don't know if it's the same in America, but clearly not the case here in Portugal. People are very fair when it comes to that. Okay. Did you get my video yesterday? Yes, but I'm afraid to play it, Matt. Cycling was certainly a theme of the moment yesterday, wasn't it? And the tour, I think it's one of the Portuguese tours coming past your house yesterday. So we'll get that played next week, and we'll return to that. And I'll have a cycling video of my own, I suspect, when it comes to by the time we get to next week. It's sexta-feira. I have my Portuguese class tonight. How's it going, Victoria? What have you learned recently? Come on, impress us in the chat, if you will. And Matty with a greeting. He's talking Portuguese to us this morning. And are we seeing more Portuguese in the chat? I'm not sure. Bom dia, alegria a todos de Pombal com Sol. Feliz sexta-feira to everybody from Matty to the community. And hey, Max Headroom. Is that what you're calling me this morning? The 80s called and want the technology back. Okay, very funny. I did get your video. We will show that in due course. Matty of Quinta Entre Aguas. How's it going? Are you making any videos yet? Have you got the first video made, Matty, of the ground before the work begins? We definitely want the before and after video, don't we? So make sure you get some video of it exactly as it is right now. Sarah Yerman is with us. Good morning to you, Sarah. I was thinking of you lots yesterday as I cycled through the Portuguese countryside and was remembering your advice. I must get myself some gloves and one of those rear view mirrors. I think you recommended that to me when we spoke about cycling. Prolific cyclist as you are, and about to take to the Route 66 of Portugal. And we're looking forward to your reportage from that. What has Pete got on his camera? Maybe he's been edited and censored. But yes, I think he has been. I can see your comment to him, as in, hope you can wipe it off your camera. But maybe censorship log algorithms have been turned up higher this morning. The internet's been turned down, but the censorship has been turned up. We knew that would happen. Can anyone see this joke? Oh, we can now. The butt of your jokes we can definitely see. The really nice thing about cycling is that nobody's keeping score. Your 10K ride is perfectly impressive. Thank you very much. And you know what? I thought it was going to take me all day. I really did. And then I realized what a beautiful invention the bicycle is. And even though you are only going maybe, in between 10 and 30 kilometers per hour, as I was yesterday, you're not that much slower, as it turns out, than the motor cars and lorries that are hurtling past you. And we see this from time to time, don't we? We see someone hurtling past us and then we catch up with them at the lights. That's when we're driving. And if you change your speed from 70 to 60 or bring it down from 100 to 70, it doesn't change things that much. And that's what I realized on my bicycle yesterday. You can get around very easily, comfortably, and it doesn't take all day on a bicycle. So that was a really lovely experience yesterday. Thank you for your encouragement on that, Sarah, and being an inspiration in that department. Steve Merwin, hello, Steve. So good to have you here. Hola, bon dia, Gumper World made a stop yesterday at the Buddha Garden. Fantastic. It's spectacular. It is amazing, isn't it? I was looking at my photos, and that's another video I've got to make. It is incredible, isn't it? And it's also worth looking up the fella behind it, Steve. The story of the gentleman who created it is a very interesting backstory, and all connected, of course, with the wealthy world of gold extraction and of winemaking. Bacalao family, I think, involved in the world of the Buddha Garden. Bobby O'Reilly is here. He's going to be here for a whole 4 minutes, I think, this morning in the 9 a.m. slot. Good morning to you, Bobby. Is that an edible cigar you've just taken a bite out of?
No, I thought it was 9:30.
No, you're 9 to 9.
9 to 9:30, excellent. So
on, we've got a bit in about 4 minutes. We've got all sorts. We've got a lot of technical issues this morning as well. If it wasn't difficult enough, did I just see you taking a quick puff on a cigar, or was that a hot dog?
No.
In the background there.
How do you call it? Pretzel.
Cachorro.
Breakfast.
Oh, pretzel. It was like Groucho Marx and Winston Churchill impressions behind the scenes there. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I thought we were 9:30. Actually, you told me 9:30. Did
I really? So another error to chalk up on my because I've told Savvy Cat Ana I need to quickly delay her then a little bit behind the scenes, but no one else need worry about that apart from me. She'll be joining us a little bit later on as well. So what's been going on in Lisbon and the world of property and real estate from your point of view, Bobby? We've got a few.
You may say that again, buddy. You're still having technical issues. I didn't hear what you said. Hello.
Are you there, Bobby? Hey, Bobby.
Yes, you're freezing on me.
Oh dear, it's not going at all well this morning. So the first bit was, how are you? I wonder if that's coming through. Excellent. Okay. And we were going to have a look at a few stories, weren't we, this morning? I was very surprised by this, Bobby. In 2021, we're having a look at the Portuguese news in English here. In 2021, this is a headline for the Portugal news. Wealthy families. There were almost 22,000 families in Portugal with annual gross incomes of more than 80,000 euros, 16% more than in the previous year. That seemed to me like not that an impressive level of wealth in the country. What do you make of that?
Well, I think for the cost of living in Portugal, actually, it's quite, you'd be very well off with that kind of money, as you know, with that kind of income. But I think actually what's really impressive was the percentage in growth of people going up to that, which is nearly 20%, and 1/5 of the country, if you like. And if you think about the working population, the size of the working population versus the size of the population, it's quite substantial. And I'm sure most of it's probably in the private sector, or in either the private sector, as in they're either self-employed or working for probably some of the international companies that have set up in Portugal. And I think that's why Portugal was a big draw for a lot of international companies of late, and a lot of international investors, etc., moving into Portugal. And even what I found myself now trying to employ people from, say, the top end of the professional level, the salary requirements are substantial, are much, let's say, the demand is such that the salaries demand is also quite high, and you're up at that level as well. Hello.
Yeah, fascinating. That comes as well with the news that there have never been so many jobs in Portugal. That's another story. Never been so many jobs in Portugal as in the first quarter of the year, according to the Ministry of Finance. In Portugal, the activity rate reached its highest level since 2011. Despite this positive evolution in recent quarters, the unemployment rate has slightly increased. That's weird, isn't it? Reflecting an increase in the number of people looking for a job, the Ministry of Finance shared on Twitter and reported by NM. What's your view on that as somebody who employs people here in Portugal? Is there a skill shortage? Is that still the problem we're facing here in Portugal?
There is a skill shortage because there's still, even though you have on the top end of it, a professional scale, a shortage of the top end of it. I think, as I've said before on the show, I think the government don't do a lot to incentivize employers to actually employ people. You have a lot of people using green receipts, as you know yourself, with regards to how people are paid and so on, because it's very difficult as an employer to control your staff. I don't mean control your staff, but basically have say of who can work for you and for how long they can work for you and what they can do for you, because the laws are so strong against for employees, more so than they're not fair, to be honest with you. So, but also what that leads to is a very, very low income base for a lot of people. So you have a lot of people that are employed but on very low salaries, and they're on very low salaries because of the structure of the social security and IRS, etc., as well, that you have here in Portugal, because an employer can pay up to 34% on top of the actual salary that he gives somebody, and hence he wants to give as least amount of percentage to the government as he can, so he'll be incentivized to give a low salary. So I think it needs to be looked at in that sense, but there is a brain drain of such, where you've got a lot of people that are well educated leaving Portugal. So that's why you have a lot of international people coming in here as well, because they see the opportunity for the jobs that are here.
Yeah, Portugal is making a very interesting point here, but it is, I mean, fantastic for Portuguese people. Portugal's comment is wages in Portugal are shockingly low, especially for public services, but high compared to some of the former colonies. So you've got this for people who are coming from the former colonies. It's an opportunity for them, isn't it, to improve their prospects. For the much wealthier around the world, Portugal looks like a great place to come because of the relatively cheaper cost of living. And then for the standing Portuguese population, they're the ones who don't get the benefit of this. And then you can see why they're a little bit eggy about it.
Peeved. Yeah, absolutely. I can. But to be honest with you, I'm going to sound really terrible here. It's their own fault. It's their own fault because they accept the political status as it is. It is.
Yes.
And straight, because the local and the international
Yeah.
or the national political situation in Portugal is a joke. As the acceptance is the main thing. It's just, well,
Yeah.
sure, what can you do? And they vote them in every time. And like, it's civil servants, as you know yourself, like everybody has issues. If you go to register a car, you go to register anything. Everything here is very slow with a lot of the red tape. Bureaucracy is a joke, and but it's something you have to put up with when you live here in Portugal. But there's a lot of things that, to be honest with you, it's so historical. I don't know how they're going to fix it. I really don't know how they're going to fix it. But they have to start somewhere. But the thing is that they shouldn't accept status quo, and that's what seems to happen, if you know what I mean. Like I don't know, the social system here. I know it's great that you have a social system, but like a free medical and so on and so forth. But it tends to keep the regular guy down. There's no real room for him to advance, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
No, I'm
because
beginning to see this more and more. And sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying that's what I found, is that for people to come into Portugal and to see that, especially foreigners coming into Portugal, and they can see all these fantastic opportunities that are. That's exactly why I moved to Portugal 10 years ago, was the opportunities that were here, and because of I suppose my own history and my own education, I was able to take advantage of the opportunities, where I think a lot of the local people wouldn't have seen the opportunities, because historically they wouldn't have been that way, I suppose, inclined in the past. It was go get a job, and everyone here wants a contract to work. You know, I just want a contract because I want security, and I need to have a minimum base salary so I know I have security every month. And rather than actually taking a belief in themselves and going out and doing something, it's a different mindset here, and I think that's why you have such a disparity between the salaries as well.
Agreed. It's hard to disagree with what you're saying. But the problem for us remains, I think, as foreigners coming in, is that we might be getting the blame for this situation. That we're taking advantage of a particular situation.
Yeah, but the blame, but I saw someone else quote in one of those articles about, oh yeah, but it's all the foreigners that are getting those €80,000 a month. But if that's been the case, so they have a choice of where they want to go and where they want to live, and they have to pay their taxes on the money where they want to go and where they want to live. That feeds into the social system, that pays the social things they have to pay. So regardless whether it's a Portuguese or whether it's a foreigner that's making a high salary here, they're still paying taxes that goes into creating these jobs, that go into creating the social system, etc. as well. So I don't accept the argument that but it's all the foreigners. Everyone else here has equal rights and equal opportunities. It's up to them to take them, you know. And I don't apologize for taking those opportunities myself, and I invite everyone else to do the same.
Well, fair enough. I'm not saying it's the foreigners. I'm saying I can see how people think that. And I find myself agreeing with you here, that there is this equal opportunity, and it's a classic device, really, isn't it? Is an incompetent government may well start these rumors and not do anything to quell them. Like, it's not us, it's them over there, or that group over there. That I think a bit of that might be going on. No,
for sure. It's point to blame. As you know yourself, what I found, the one thing that I found here is that everyone wants to take credit for something that works out. No one wants to take the blame for something that didn't. So what they try to do is position themselves that they can work themselves both ways. That they don't want to sign off on something, but they want to take credit if it works. But they don't want to say it was our fault because I didn't sign off on it. You know what I mean? And that's what actually slows up a lot of the things here as well. I'm talking maybe from construction and from a licensing point of view. It's just there is a lot of that going on, and a bit of finger pointing with regards to it's the foreigners that are taking up all our properties and making the price of properties grow, and our salaries are still low. I put it to everybody, says, why are your salaries low? Why? Whose fault is it the salaries are low? And whose fault is it that the properties prices are increasing? There's only two reasons, if you like, that property prices will rise. And that is because of demand and the shortage of supply, and basically the availability of cash to buy those properties. And once people have money and the banks are lending, there's and this is why you have inflationary controls, where the rise in interest rates to stop people being able to buy properties, to stop property prices rising, and so on. But in Portugal, where you have a large influx of foreigners that are wanting to move to Portugal and so on, they have availability to cash. So what you're going to do is that those people are still able to buy the houses at relatively low prices, because the prices are trying to be controlled for the local market by raising interest rates. But it's the main reason is lack of supply. And why is there a lack of supply? Because there's no future thinking or no future planning with regard to the requirement of housing that's required in the local market. And if they had any sense whatsoever, they would be driving the incentives to the foreigners and to the local buyers to actually invest into local housing, and incentivizing people to buy local housing, as in giving them tax breaks and tax credits, etc. Again, and that's why property prices are high. It's simply because the cameras are not able to get the planning process speeded up past 3 or 4 years. Simple.
Yeah. So the finger pointing out from politics, there are definitely 3 pointing back in. I'm sure Savvy Cat Ana will pick up on this when we speak to her in a little while as well. Did you say there were 2 points there, or did you cover them both in that?
Yeah, no,
response,
two. One is the supply and demand, and the other one is the access to cash. So basically, if interest rates are low, for example, and banks are lending, because banks only make money when they lend. Simple. So they have to lend. But when when the central bank puts up interest rates, and the IMF, etc., the monetary fund forces the central banks to increase the cost of borrowing, then access to funds falls. So basically, that should affect the property market, but it really only affects the property market in the lower end of it, if you like, the 250 to 350 bracket, if you like, because they're the people that's trying to access mortgages. Because when you have an interest rate that's 3.5% or 4.5%, it's stress tested within the bank to 2% over. So in the event that the interest rates rise by 2%, they will say, okay, if they rise by 2%, are you able to afford to pay this mortgage? And typically, when you're at 4.5% and they're stress testing at 6.5%, and considering the salaries that are paid in Portugal, the answer is no. So what's happening now is the banks are not lending to the lower end of the market, where someone that's coming in from abroad and has 50% loan to value and wants to buy a house for 600,000 or 700,000, puts down to 300. Bank has no problem giving them 300,000, and will give them a discount rate, because it's what they call the risk value is much lower. So you will have the higher end of the market will continue to rise, and the lower end of the market will stagnate until such times that interest rates fall or salaries rise.
Yeah, well, that certainly makes sense. Something that the politicians will want to take some credit for, I think, is that GDP growth and 4% May inflation may bode well for the rest of the year. So
nothing to do with them either, to be honest with you.
They may be
GDP
for investment understood very well, and we've got an interesting story to look at on that as well. But they certainly can take some, certainly will be taking some credit for low inflation and GDP growth, as politicians tend to do. The other factor, of course, in this conversation is apparently young Portuguese people are returning to Portugal and seeing the opportunity. So that could bode well, as well as the GDP growth and the low inflation. A new Portuguese workforce, maybe with some slightly different ideas, coming back into and reclaiming their own economic ecosystem, and with some new ideas. Are you seeing any sign of that?
I haven't seen a lot of it yet, but to be honest with you, but I welcome it. I think it would be a fantastic idea for our government, and hopefully the next government that comes in will actually have some brighter ideas with regards to this, because the brain drain has been a huge problem here in Portugal, and because they just need to incentivize people to come back, and they need to come up with ideas to get them to come back. And actually, housing is probably the most expensive thing in Portugal. and people coming back. Well, the cost of living in Portugal is high because the cost of housing is high, and the cost of transport is high if you own a car, etc. So I think that if they come up with sort of plans where they're actually able to offer supplementary housing or supplementary tax benefits on people who are coming back to either rent, or supplementary tax benefits for people who are coming back to buy, and basically giving companies incentives to bring people back to Portugal, Portuguese nationals back to Portugal with the degrees, and actually setting up, if you like, recruitment type companies that will target the Portuguese people that have left the country in order to bring them back, and others as well. But I really don't understand why it can be so difficult to come up with these simple ideas that could actually work, that have worked in other places. And it just seems to be a drag on ideas with regards to fixing things rather than just blaming things, you know. So I don't know. Tell me.
No, well said. Well said. That would appear to be the condition we're in. And I don't suppose you're somebody who says, I told you so, Bobby. But if we have a look at the Diario de Noticias, who say the economy loses 4.8 billion euros with a break on golden visas in residential tourism. The headline there and the subheading, until April of this year, investments worth 800 million euros in residential tourism were cancelled. Wow. Which would represent 500 million euros in taxes and 2,090 jobs created is the research there. The Portuguese Association of Residential Tourism and Resorts calls for common sense to avoid a catastrophe. So that's not over yet, is it? And it was a shot in the foot. And again, it doesn't have to be either or, does it? That's another part of this problematic political thinking. It's like this, when in fact we could do both. We could keep the golden visa and we could do the things you've talked about, which is subsidize housing and get some inventory released into the market.
Yeah, well, just on the numbers thing, like as you saw, one of the other articles you sent me, that tourism is up by, I don't know how many percent it was, but since I think it's more than doubled or whatever it is since in the last 10 years due to Ryanair, etc. and so on, coming into the Algarve. And then you have the same time somebody come back and say that, oh, we've lost 500 million in taxes and another 2,000 jobs and so on. So figures and numbers and creative accounting can be used on both sides of the equation. And for me, actually, the golden visa is not the be all and end all. But what my argument always was this, is that if you come up with a program, do what you're meant to do in the program. But instead of what this government did, after the last government had brought in, not the last one before, the one before that in 2012, when they brought out the golden visa, they just kept changing it willy-nilly to get political sound bites. Oh, we're not going to get it. When I was doing golden visa program, or when I was selling golden visa projects, it was when someone could invest in something that they wanted to invest in. But when they start changing it to say, no, now you have to put the money into this type of project and in this type of area, which made no sense for an investor. There was no incentive from an investor except that you get a golden visa. Then they started selling passports. That's exactly what they were doing at that stage. And then I wasn't interested in actually that market anymore, because I wasn't in the business of selling passports. I was in the business of people doing investments and getting a residency program and eventually trying to get to a passport at the end of the day. But what the government here did was they made a program, and then what happened was you had people who were investing in Portugal had changed their investment strategies based on the political programs that they were doing. And then before they've even given the planning permission, after the investments, they changed it again. And then they changed it again. So what's happening was you didn't know your arse from your elbow with regards to what you were going to be doing, or what you'd be allowed to be doing 6 months from now. And then, of course, November of last year, Antonio Costa comes up and says, oh, by the way, we're going to do away with the golden visa. And when he did that, there was uproar and panic on the ground. And yes, lots and lots of investment companies had come here and invested in projects that was targeting the golden visa program, that now have lost millions and will have lost loads of jobs and would have lost loads of investment into those areas that these guys had invested in again, because of a political soundbite of the mass habitation program they brought out.
Yep.
And the argument behind it was that the foreigners were coming in and putting the prices up, which is not the case. There's 10,000 properties or 11,000 properties being bought over the last 12 years for Golden Visa. That's a fact. So it's an average of, say, 1,000 or just under 1,000 a year. Now, literally, there's about 180,000 units a year sold in Portugal. 180,000 euros a year. And you have a shortfall of around 200,000 homes at the moment in Portugal. Now, it doesn't take a genius to come up with, well, why don't we get these investors to invest in where we have a shortfall of property and where the demand is, and the type of housing we'd like to see that the Portuguese people and the people who live in Portugal would like to live in, and incentivize them with a program that people will able to buy for housing, for local housing, rather than just come in. And there's an investment program that suits everybody. And I don't know.
Well said.
It's bugger's belief, to be honest with you, that it's completely sort of missed everyone's focus or everyone's idea that this could be.
I think people are in the trenches. Yeah, people are stuck in the political trenches. They need to come out. People are stuck in the political trenches, aren't they? And they need to come out and have a look. Bobby, thank you so much. I would love to have the three of us on the screen talking about this, but I think it might break the technology. What we'll do is we'll continue to ask people to help us find the perfect pint of Guinness in Portugal. So after our Guinness appeal, the best pint of in Portugal, we'll go to Savvy Cat Ana. But I want to wish you, thank you for your insight again, as ever, Bobby, your exciting and dynamic insight into this interesting time we find ourselves here in Portugal. Bon fin de semana. Have a great weekend, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
You too. Take care. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Searching for the perfect pint of Guinness here in Portugal. It must be on our list of our discovery weekends around Portugal. Maybe we'll make it a feature. Every place we go to, we'll try and track down a decent pint of Guinness. Pit stop just down the road for me. I did have what I thought was a nice pint of Guinness, but I'm no expert on the matter.
You're advertising Guinness now.
No, I'm not advertising. I'm advertising the fact that we want a decent pint of it. Bobby's come up with his own version with the widget thing at home, and I think he has to resort to sorting himself out with a decent pint of Guinness at home. There have been rumours of fairly good pints, like the one I found in down the road at Pit Stop here in San Martino de Porto. But the search is on. No, we're not advertising. I mean, we're open to the idea of advertising. They're not paying us anything yet, Savvy Cat Ana. And I don't know if you know anything about the dark brew. Is it a favourite of yours at all? Have you tried it?
Actually, I don't really like beer in general. I'm more of a meat person.
So I thought you said a meat person, but mead as in the honey-based
mead, the hydromel.
Mead, of course.
Or
that
cider,
makes a lot of sense.
That kind of stuff. I like the sweet things.
And the natural things made of honey and apples. Very good. Excellent stuff. How are you? Great to have you on the Good Morning Portugal show. Yeah, true. But I mean, when you think of honey and apples, it sounds so wholesome, doesn't it? How are you? Great to have you back.
I'm great. How are you?
Well, very, very challenged this morning. You can see how difficult.
Yeah, I'm seeing that your internet isn't really cooperating. There's a bit of delay.
I don't know. I really don't know what's going on, frankly. But I'm soldiering on regardless. I'm not letting it get to me, Anna. And what else can you do?
I think that's a great thing.
Now, thank you, Bobby, says Suze. And Bobby, from T-Duck, you make too much sense. I always enjoy when you're on. Was he making sense to you as you were listening in the green room there?
Yeah, there was some things that I agree with, especially the political side of things. And yes, our politics definitely like to take the victim paper and take the credits whenever they can. And it's honestly a terrible stance. It creates a lot of problems. And there are a lot of things that, like the end of the golden visa thing is definitely a scapegoat kind of scenario, or just they are just getting someone to blame. And I definitely agree with Bobby on the numbers and how this makes no sense from an investment and the number perspective. This is just a political move, because like Bobby was saying, I believe he said that there is about 100,000 transactions per year, and only 1,000 something are golden visas. So how are golden visas breaking the market? um, so yeah, it's kind of silly, and I don't fully agree with the part about the restrictions of the golden visa. I do think they make some sense. Like, it's true that most of the investment is going to be focused on the high density areas like Porto and Lisbon, because that's where there's the most demand and the most rising prices. But the truth is, there are a lot of locations that can have very good profits and very good returns for the investors that are not looked at, because everyone tends to go the easy way, or the way that everyone is going. So most people will think Lisbon and Porto, and that's often because they aren't even considering other locations. And there are so many locations that could benefit a lot for Golden Visa, and could even bring a better profit margins, because they still have a greater growth to able to happen, while these markets are already fairly high. There's other markets that are still on the rising trend. But I think in that sense, the restriction of the golden visa did make a lot of sense. But it definitely wasn't the ideal way to come around it. And it even restricted some locations that didn't make a lot of sense to restrict, because the criteria was population density only. And well, that's going to englobate some locations that have a higher population density but could use a lot of investment. And I would put, for example, Caldas do Rainha and Coimbra on that category, because they have
Yeah.
a lot of uh, property that needs recovering, and they would be amazing for golden visa problems and so on. I believe one of the models that are extremely profitable is to recover older property in the center and either rent it out or sell it out. Of course, it depends on the amounts and the return you are looking at. And these two cities, they have a lot of opportunities for that, and it can be extremely profitable if done right. But they were excluded from the Golden Visa program because of the population density requirement. Of course, this whole let's end the Golden Visa program thing, I still don't know how it's going, because they are once again just burying their heads in the sands. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I do not believe that the Golden Visa program is going to end this year at all. Um, and I was already
Oh,
saying
really?
that back when this whole thing started. I was already saying I don't think that this is going to be sorted this year. And right now the position is just okay. They say they're going to go the golden visas, but for now it's still possible to get golden visas until they announce the official end date, which haven't hasn't been announced yet. And I don't think it will be announced for this year, because like Bobby is saying, people with good sense and the people that are actually running the numbers are saying this is silly, and they are pressuring the government. And I don't even know if this is fully going to move forward, or it's just going to give a golden visa a new name eventually. But yes, it's mostly a political move, and I think the program as it is will still run at least until the end of this year, and then we'll see. And you're frozen. I don't know. It's just on me. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm not sure you can hear me now. I was thinking, oh yes, here we go. Thank you very much for that. A very interesting insight from your point of view on that as well. And yeah, wouldn't that be amazing if the benefits? I mean, I think we can get caught up and hung up on, can't we? The golden visa now, because of how it's been used as a political football, is now an emotive term in its own right, isn't it? What we're talking about is an investment program that could potentially bring neglected property back into the marketplace and regenerate places and bring regeneration and wealth to cities, as you said, like Caldas Terrenia and Coimbra. That presumably would be a good thing. Who would argue against that? But I guess, like so many political battles, it gets shorthanded into, or proxy, doesn't it? The proxy political battles where these devices are used as footballs or sacrificial items. And the people who lose out are the ones Bobby was referring to earlier on, which are the Portuguese people. That's the problem here, isn't it? I mean, would you recognize that phenomenon that we were talking about before? You got people from the former colonies coming and seeing a great opportunity in coming to live in Portugal because their life prospects are improved. And then people from the other parts of the world who are much wealthier and seeing a great quality of life, seeing that they can live a better quality of life and get themselves a property bargain. They're doing great, aren't they, out of this? But the mass of Portuguese people themselves are not, and you can understand why they might be resentful about that.
Well, I personally really dislike the general Portuguese mentality because here in Portugal we have a big problem. One of them is the victim mentality that pretty much follows the way the government works. And the other one is the aversion to risk. There is a huge aversion to risk here in Portugal, and that is absolutely terrible from a business and an entrepreneurship perspective. Because here in Portugal, it is pretty much if you failed once, if something goes wrong once, then you're a failure and you will never going to get up and you're going to be an outcast from society. And as we both know, that's not how businesses and entrepreneurship works. Business and this entrepreneurship is all about adaptability and the ability to overcome the lows, because there are always going to be lows, and there's always going to be things that go wrong. But here in Portugal, there is a huge negative stigma around the risk and having some things go wrong. So it's a really bad environment to develop entrepreneurship because people are very risk averse. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that there is a much smaller amount of successful Portuguese entrepreneurs than foreign successful entrepreneurs, because they come with a completely different mentality. And these people are willing to take those risks, and they understand that they may or may not go right, but they are willing to move forward anyway.
Thank you. That's why we love having you here and talking to you, Savvy Cat Ana. Thank you for those crime statistics, Antonio F. They make for interesting reading. I don't know if you want to give us more sort of political background on that as well. Changing the subject slightly then, although it's still within the realm of, how society can change and in a way trying to solve the housing issue. And it was a project that was, I think, initiated by our mutual friends, Josh and Kaylee of Expats Everywhere. There's been, and a little bird told me this, I didn't see this myself, but Mrs. M was telling me that there was some talk about a co-housing project. Groups of expats, immigrants, foreigners coming in and buying together. And I understand you were part of the sort of consultation input on that, the analysis of the project. It sounds like such a good idea, Anna, that groups of foreigners would come in, the not so wealthy ones, if you like, not the super rich or the very rich. They would pool their resources. They would live in a non-nuclear family sort of way, where there might be a building with a number of units or a piece of land with a number of units on. They would put their money in together. They could share resources, couldn't they? They could share tools, utility equipment, lawnmowers, all these things that not every family needs to have, but a group of people could have. You could have young people with children. You could have older people who have a sense of community living together in this co-housing sort of way. How's it looking?
I think I love those kinds of projects, honestly. I think they are
Right.
great and they are one of the best things for community building. From a technical perspective, they can be quite tricky because it
Yeah.
depends on how that investment goes about. So, probably the best and easiest way to do it is that one of the persons buy things and then sells to the others. Because if they actually
Okay.
buy all together, it's going to be a legal mess. So, and the banks are not going to like it. So that's definitely a factor
Right.
when thinking about that project. But from a social and an entrepreneurship perspective, I love those projects. From a technical perspective, like I
Yeah.
said, they can be a bit of a headache. But I actually, besides Josh, that's developing a project like this right now, and I'm working with him on that. Actually, next week we're probably going to meet and move forward. So I don't know if I should be
Excellent.
announcing those things, so I'm not going to say a lot. And I have actually two other clients that are doing similar things, but
Oh,
they are the investors. So I have two other clients that want to build communities. One of them already bought a lovely property in Portugal, and she's going to be doing a rental community in that property. And I have a very, very big project that's about 160 apartments in total, and I love the concept. And my client, the idea is exactly to do what Bobby was saying. So basically, to create offer that is possible and attractive for local residents and also attractive for foreigners. So in this project, the idea is to build a mixed community where you have some higher end apartments that are very attractive for the um, wealthy investors and the wealth and foreign residents, and then have also a mix of affordable housing and kind of control the sales, so not everything is bought for by foreigners, and there's actually a balance between Portuguese people and foreign people, and creating a balanced community around that. And I love those kinds of things because I believe that the segregation of social status is one of the social problems that kind of needs to be addressed, or at least start going against that. The whole thing of you have this rich neighborhood and a poor neighborhood, and I think it's really good to kind of mix the two and have different perspectives come together. And I believe everyone is able to grow and learn from that.
oh, this is music to my ears. You too, Bobby and Savvy Cat Ana, talking incredible blue sky thinking. But it's not just blue skies. You're both actually doing it, which is fantastic. Bobby's approach at Haddad de Mayo is wonderful in how he's aiming to build community as one of the pillars, sort of metaphorically, literally, of the project, is to be integrated into the local community. Infrastructure on the site will be used by the whole community, not just by a gated community of people living there. And you're talking along very similar lines. So I'm very proud to know you both and to feature you on the show here. That sounds wonderful, Anna. How's that going down in the Portuguese real estate industry? Friends and family you talk to, do they think you're crazy with these new ideas, or is that just
Oh,
how Portuguese people used to live anyway?
so actually, that's the thing. I built most of my company without my family really knowing what I was doing, because I was really tired of the naysaying. It's the whole risk
Okay.
averse thing and how that's never going to work out. So at some point, I
Yeah.
just gave up telling them what I was doing it, and I was just doing it. And then when I did it, I was like, "Oh, look, I did this," kind of attitude. But
Well, that's
that's
amazing.
definitely
Well done,
something
you.
frustrating because, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I
Okay.
actually
But
had more support from the things I was doing outside than inside.
amazing, amazing. However, is it fair to say that the idea of generations living together on the same site is actually quite a traditional Portuguese thing to do. You know, those you see those houses where they're split level, or there's a granny annex or something like that. Portuguese people aren't averse, are they, to sharing living with other generations and maybe more distant family members like cousins and aunties and uncles and so on?
Yes, that's particularly traditional from the more interior locations where families stay very tight together, and sometimes even in the same property. Like you were saying, that it's fairly common to see these kind of divided properties where different generations from the same family live. But yes, that's more of an interior thing, and I do think it has its pros and cons because it kind of tends to create a barrier where people kind of are they have to stay close to family, so once again they don't really go outside of that comfort zone. So it
Yes.
does have its pros and cons.
Understood. But I guess with the version of it you're talking about, if you're talking about mixing with non-family members and people from different cultures, my goodness, that of course will bring pros and cons, but it might bring some very good pros with it as well. So how exciting. Do please keep us up to date with all of this. I'm sure there are Gumpers, people part of our community, be very interested in getting involved with what you're doing. And in work I've done in the past in the UK, Anna, I worked with something called the Living Village Trust, which was a sustainable housing development, but very much with a view to having people create a community where they live and not just dormitory blocks where they just sleep and then go out to work. There's definitely work to be done in this department, and there are some really good ideas around about it. Thank you, João Mendonça, for just checking in on me. Carl, are you still alive, possibly? Or am I still live? We're definitely live. We'll be here for a few more minutes because Anna's going to be telling us as well about her retreat that's coming up, the Move to Portugal retreat. And I think you've got an informal meetup to tell us about as well, Anna. Go ahead.
Yes, so the informal meeting is happening this Sunday, so that's just 2 days from now. So you don't have a long time to decide if you want to come. And there is tomorrow we have to tell the restaurant the exact number of people. So we already have 15 people confirmed. And this is a mix of meeting other people that are moving, in this case, forward to the Lisbon area, getting to chat with me and my Lisbon agent, Graciosa, and just get to pick our brains in whatever you need. And also a foodie experience, because of course I couldn't miss that. And we are going to a very nice Alentejano restaurant in Lisbon that my agent selected. And it's going to be basically a multi-course meal with a lot of different Alentejo dishes, and you get to try them all. If you do want to sign up in our website, there, when you go to the homepage, there's a pop-up at the top with the two events that are going on. So there, it's both the Lisbon meetup and the retreat that I'm going to be talking about in a bit, and you can sign up there. And it's actually going to ask you to select what food you want, but that's because I didn't realize that you actually got to try them all, so you don't have to put too much thought into that. Even if you do select a dish you want, you actually still get to eat all of them. So there's that.
Fantastic. I lost you in the middle there. Were you still talking about your meetup, or are we talking about the retreat now?
No, I was just describing what we are going to eat at the meetup and how there is a lot of basically it's going to, you get to try a bunch of different dishes from Alentejo.
Oh, fantastic. Some of the best cooking, you might say. I know it's a controversial thing to say, but some of the best food comes from the Alentejo, or is Alentejo inspired? Will there be food at this retreat that's coming up? There's got to be, right?
Yes, of course it is. I never missed that. So this retreat is basically an all-inclusive experience, and it's going to be 3 days, 2 nights with an optional 1-night extension. The idea is to keep the group fairly small, so we don't want more than 20 participants because we want to be able to talk with everyone and that everyone is able to meet each other and create actual bonds. So we don't want a big group. and it's going to take place in October between the 5th and the 8th. And you still, once again, you are able to sign up in our website. There is the pop-up there, but it's called the Move to Portugal Retreat. So it's ideally for those people that are consider moving to Portugal, but are still not 100% sure and don't know exactly where they want to go and want to experience a bit of Portuguese culture before they make the decision, or meet other people that can potentially be their neighbors, and at the same time get clarification. So it's going to be a mix of culture, questions and problem solving, and social and meeting people. We are going to be explaining things like the differences between the different areas in Portugal and what are the pros and cons, so people can understand what are the best locations for them. Also going over a bit of the moving process itself, so they can know what to expect when doing the move. And then of course, getting experiences from people that already done that. So we're going to have a client that bought and a client that rent share their experiences, and the participants can interact with them and know about their experience and answer their questions and all of that. And the same thing with me. I will be present, so people are able to answer all their questions regarding the move and the locations, while having a great time and once again experience the Portuguese food and the Portuguese culture, because it's all inclusive. And I've handpicked all the restaurants. The retreat is going to be in Évora,
Oh, wow.
which is one of the most cultural cities in Portugal, which is absolutely lovely. And it's going to also include a cultural tour. And like I was saying, we handpicked all the restaurants, so you get to try the best of the Portuguese foods while at it.
That sounds so good. That sounds like a brilliant experience. Ticking a lot of boxes, finding out about Portugal, finding out about places in Portugal, finding about eating beautiful food, drinking wonderful wine, meeting your possible future friends, and hearing from people who've done that trip and that journey before. And of course, hanging out with Anna and some of the Savvy Cat team.
Yes.
Brilliant
And
idea.
then
And you
the
can find out more at
extension, like I was saying, that there is an optional extension. And this optional extension is actually more spiritual focused. Actually, our services, we are pretty open-minded, and we also include that option for our clients too. For example, our clients that want to get some spiritual guidance, we do have some partners in order to do that. And this extension is going to be a more individual and spiritual kind of experience. So in the extension, that's only going to be for 6 people, so that the one night extension, you get individual time with both me and our spiritual advisor. We'll get to do a ritual and a massage, and a more kind of tight group experience kind of thing.
My goodness, that sounds very fascinating and interesting. So there you go, savvycatrealty.com to find out more about that, including the informal meetup in Lisbon on Sunday, this coming Sunday, 2 days' time as well. Wonderful, Anna. Always great fun talking to you. Really good information this morning. We'll see you again next month. Bon fin de semana to you. A last word from you then before you go off on your way.
Yeah, actually, next time we can, I would love to go more into the whole investment thing and the details about this project, like why there isn't more people developing projects like the one I was talking about of the mixed community and so on. And there is a lot of reasons around that, so I don't want to start going into that because it's going to be a long conversation. But yes, I would definitely love to go into that in more detail in our next conversation.
Oh, let's do that. Okay, wonderful. Great to talk to you. Bon fin de semana. Have a great weekend and see you soon. Savvy Cat Ana. Bye for now.
Bye.
So I'm having some continuing to have a little bit of a struggle with my tech here. I'm to all my guests this morning who've been at the end of that as well, and they've done brilliantly well. It's incredible information that's come. We spoke to Siobhan, of course, at the Quinta, and her possible award that she may or may not be winning today, but also bringing lots of attention to the Silver Coast and in wonderful environmental things going on here in Portugal. Bobby, there we're on a somewhat. Maybe not controversial, but plain speaking this morning, and telling us how he sees it. And I think at the bottom of all of this is a shared wish among us all that our Portuguese hosts enjoy as much of the regeneration and wonder of this country as we are. And sadly, their politicians don't seem to be enabling that in the best possible way. So let's see what we can do to work together to have that happen, that everyone can be enjoying this wonderful experience that so many of us in this community are enjoying. And it seems a shame that some people are excluded from that, and the politicians again are getting in the way, actually not doing their job right. Hold on a minute, wasn't that why they were elected, to make life easier and better for everybody? What went wrong there? And then taking the credit for the good stuff that they often had nothing to do with, and then when something goes wrong with the things they did have something to do with, pointing the fingers at foreigners or whatever, or the global situation or the war in the Ukraine, etc., etc. Thank you for being here this morning. I'm going to attempt now. We've got some dad jokes to share, haven't we? We've already done the butt cheek one. I was a bit uncomfortable about doing that sort of material in front of Savvy Cat Ana this morning, I'll be honest. We do have some events. Now, this could be the straw that absolutely breaks the camel's back of the show this morning. Let's see, though, if I can events that are happening in some of the stranger, apparently, events that are happening in the Bairrada region. We've got our own event on Monday, of course, the white wine tasting for the Good Morning Portugal Club. And he tells me it's not the word he used, but there are many, many events happening in and around the Bairrada region this weekend. And here are some of the slightly different and perhaps more interesting ones. Not that they won't be great events to go to, all of them in the Bairrada region, where you can definitely get something to eat, something to drink, and possibly even a T-shirt. Here's the first then, before we go off into our weekends and have a bon fin de semana. This is the Irish Festa, the Irish. This is in Lisbon. Well done. I think this one might have come from Antonio F. rather than Bairrandi. So look at this lineup here. Singers will include João Pedro Paes, Jorge Palma, Diogo Pissarra. Toy is there. Legend, Toy. Evandro, Sergio Godinho, Dinos de Santiago, Emmanuel, Kim Barreiros, look at that. Carlão, Nina TikTok. See what she's doing with that name. Unless she had it before TikTok came along, of course. Georgia and Richie Campbell will be there for a major festival from the 1st to the 18th of June in Irish there. Wonderful. Thank you. That's probably Antonio F. Cheers for that, mate. Next one. If it will play ball with me and load, this will be possibly returning to the Bairrada. Yes, fun weekend in Aguada de Baixo. Lots of free fun things to do. There you go. Andy did mention that Zumba does pop up at events, and there's one where it's happening there. Also, traditional games, classic motorbikes, live music, and DJs. Aguada de Baixo there. Next event, probably another one in the Bairrada. This is the Lake Festival at Fermentelos. Zumba again. Take your Zumba kit. Take your tight lycra along for that. Knockout. It's a knockout. And Zumba, all that kind of stuff there. Lots of fun for all the family. The Lake Festival at Fermentelos there. Festa da Criança Children's Festival. It was, of course, International Children's Day yesterday, and at Oliveira de Bairro. The Festa da Criança happening there. That will be tomorrow and Sunday. Good stuff. And you can go to Oliveira de Bairro and see that not far from Sangalios and the Underground Museum, of course, which you could tie in with your visit. Talking of Sangalios, it's the soup and spit roast. Join us for a lunch party in the park at Sangalios, next to the 100 Chocolates Cafe. Saint Chocolat, a fantastic cheesecake and bolo de carne. That's Bairrandi's own personal recommendation there, not far from the Aliança Underground Museum, as I said. Arroz de Galo feast in Malhapao in the Bairrada, the Arroz de Galo. Chicken rice there, a local delicacy. cockerel and rice, with or without the special sauce, says Andy. What is he talking about? Is that made with blood as well, that particular one there? Free swim at Costa Nova is happening. Is that today? That may well be today. Oh, no. Forgive me. Well, it says 2nd of July on the poster. It says 2nd of June on Andy's listing. Check before you put your swimmers on and head out to that one, that Costa Nova free swim just above Aveiro there, of course. Or is it below? Anyway, the beach towns of Aveiro, Costa Nova and Barra. Free cycling tour of Malhada. Join this free event of the beautiful town of Malhada, presumably on your bike. A gentle 45 kms around this fab town, including and surrounding the glorious countryside. And I think we've got Lord Gilchrist on the phone. And it's only right that we answer the phone. Let me just finish these last events. Stand by where you are, Lord Gilchrist. All rise, Lord in the chamber. Music, arts, order. Gastronomy in Malhada, another wonderful event in Malhada. And then finally for the weekend, actually he's our finally for the weekend. He's Lord Gilchrist, but there's a free walk and run in Agadão in central Portugal as well. All of these on the Gumper map, folks. Which you can find going via GMP, goodmorningportugal.com. Lord Gilchrist, about time you joined us on the phone in, isn't it?
Yes, and I've also got a distinguished guest with me this morning. Well, less than distinguished, but surprise guest.
You've got to be kidding, right? Yeah. Less distinguished, more surprise. Is that be Mr. Bleach, do I deduce from what's been going on?
Of Solar Life Portugal. Indeed. Currently slumming it down in Lisbon.
Oh dear, what a come down.
I feel like after his birthday bash. So
excellent. So your line isn't perfect. So what's going on? Are you going to be staying there, Pete, to do the man cave as well tonight from Andy's gaff?
No, I've got to give Phil and Kimberly a lift back. So they're dropping the kids off, and I'm giving them a lift back. So it was a good opportunity to go out for a drink with head gardener and Dave and Andy last night. It's really nice. Actually.
Oh, a bit of a man cave get together, a bit of man cave bingo, and of course Phil's big birthday. How's he doing? How's the big fella?
Very good. Yeah, he loved it. It was so nice. Kimberly kept it a surprise for him since November, so he was pretty shocked.
That's wonderful, wonderful. So happy birthday, belated birthday wishes to Big Phil, who you can see on the show with Coach Turner. I believe that's the third Friday. So what are you fellas up to today then? Are you going to get out and about on this? I think it's a beautiful day, is it not, in the capital?
It's a sunny day. It's a sunny day here in Lisbon. We're going to hunt down some breakfast or brunch or maybe both. So yeah, I think it looks gorgeous out there today. It's really lovely. It's been really wet the rest of the week, so it's really nice to have such a beautiful sunny day.
What's it like, Pete?
Yeah, so
you're a country boy, aren't you? I mean, you live out in the beautiful, quiet paradise out Fundão, Castelo Branco way. What's it like being in the metropolis?
It's quieter here than it is on the farm. So on the farm, I have it's like a thing of birds, honestly. I've got like fucking eagles. I've got loads of birds everywhere. Here, right next to the airport, and right next to Park and Park, and like the river in a really built-up area, it's virtually silent. So it was nuts.
How about that? How about that? That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Well, let's leave it there. We're coming up to 10:30. Lord Gilchrist, sorry it was difficult for you to get through.
Say hello, and I'm pleased you haven't blocked me on social media.
No, it was nothing personal, I can assure you. So messages for the Gumpers then. You first, Lord Gilchrist. All rise.
Well, I just wish everyone well sort and have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the weekend. I hope the weather stays good for you for whatever you get up to. And Pete? Yeah, I was just going to say, Andy's made great progress socialising, not just the dog, but himself. And his Portuguese is slowly improving, as is all of ours. But that is the most difficult thing in Portugal. It's not just reading, I think you can get away with. Writing, you can just about manage with Portuguese. But pronunciation is like swallowing marbles half the time when you're saying stuff. But it's there anyway, definitely. I think you're making yourself understood. So, yes, that's also, I think, from my words of encouragement to anyone in Portugal, is really need to get hold of the language. It's going to be something that will pay you dividends. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It was real rewards, and we're very lucky. I think GMP, you're really lucky to have people like Antonio and Joel and Philip, obviously, to come and help you with your pronunciation, because that is the hardest bit.
Yeah.
You look at the word and it sounds absolutely nothing. There's no relation to the spelling whatsoever. So, like, Beaja is spelled Bemhajaam. How on earth, Haja? How does that make Beaja? I still don't understand.
Exactly. Nunu was saying this last night on the Dream Team session that we did. We were teaching Sarah Davy from Spartan FX some Portuguese, and someone said, "Oh, we need to know how to where's the bathroom? We need to know that in Portuguese." Nunu says "casa de banho," and it's like that's 3 words, isn't it? Casa de banho, but it doesn't come out like that, does it? It's just like casa de banho. And this is you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Pete. We do need help breaking it down and with the pronunciation. And
sorry, Carl. One last question. The argument, I missed the argument yesterday for Porto and Lisboa. I hope Lisboa won because I will. You can take Lisbon to the bank every day of the week compared to Porto.
Well, sadly, it's Porto that went through. But Porto, with these regions, you've got Porto and the north of Portugal, and that's a big area. And so they're able to put in Ponte Lima, Viana do Castelo. We saw that massive plate of seafood. It was really close, though. Dare I say it was like Brexit. It went 52-48. On the vote, and then there was barely a cigarette paper between them, and in the end, it was 51-49. So really, there wasn't a lot in it, and
it's the wrong decision voted for. What you're saying.
Gentlemen, legends of the Good Morning Portugal community, thank you so much for being here, much appreciated, and we will. Yeah, you too.
Off to Louisa and the kids.
Will do. All right, mate. Take care. Have fun in the capital. Ciao for now. Bye-bye. Peter and Lord Gilchrist. Order. All rise. Have a great weekend. Oh, no. Do you know what? I was climaxing already there. But I just remembered in time, and this could take a long time to get back to the comments, back to the beginning of the comments, but I'm not going to go anywhere until this morning. We've had this for you. Before I play that theme tune. First of them, which we suspect may have been taken down by YouTube, is butt cheeks one word, or should I spread them apart? No, please don't. And the other 2 dad jokes this morning, thank you very much for these, the ever popular dad jokes that may be recycled and making their way around the world as we speak. And I should have said this when Lord Gilchrist was here. Lisbon, actually, I'm going to save this one till last. How do trees access the internet? With a login? Sure, of course. And finally then, and I should have done this with Lord Gilchrist of Lisbon on the line, but Lisbon isn't just funny, everybody. It's hill areas. On that note, have a great weekend. Ciao. Bye for now.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.